Probably we see 12K by end of year, early 2023, first quarter of 2023.
Yeah.
And then from there, it's going to be the big test, because at that point, you're down 80 to 85%, which matches past cycles.
Hello everyone and welcome to the Daily Crypto. We are back with another video, and this time we have Gareth Soloway with us today. But before we get started with the interview, let's take a look at the Fear and Greed Index for today. As of recording this video, it is sitting at 22, slightly better than yesterday's 20. Currently Bitcoin and Ethereum are trading for 19,475 and 1,312 respectively. With that being said, let's jump right into the video.
Bitcoin is probably the quietest it's been in a really long time, which is kind of amazing because the stock market is the wildest it's been in a long time, right? So we've seen this weird divergence where the US dollar yields and the stock market have really been going up and down, and the stock market obviously going down a lot more, but at the same time Bitcoin has really gone quiet for the past 2 weeks or so.
Yeah.
And what that tells me, by the way, when you have these quiet periods, it's like the eye of the storm. So we're going to come out of this and we're going to have a crazy move. And the question is, which way is it going to go?
Since Bitcoin hasn't really done anything for the past 2 weeks now, it continues to follow an accumulation pattern. It is clear that at some point we will see a breakout in either direction and the prices will change rapidly.
So I think near term, I think you actually are going to see an up move. Now it's probably like 22.5 is a resistance, and then 25,000.
Okay.
I think you could get to 25. Ultimately, I still think we have downside to go. I don't think by any stretch, think about it like this. This is the first bear market where Bitcoin doesn't have Fed printing money.
Yeah.
And so it would be really weird for it to not go down as much as past cycles. So it's got to probably at least do that, and I do worry that it could even go down more than 80 to 85%.
Gareth believes we could see Bitcoin retest $25,000 level, but eventually it will come falling back down. This is because this is the first crypto bear market where the Fed isn't printing money and providing any sort of relief to the people. Surely, this will take its toll on Bitcoin, which is why Gareth thinks another 70 to 80% drop could be in the cards.
I remember doing talks in front of groups of people and going over charting, and I kept on saying, everything in the charts are telling me that Bitcoin's topping out here, and it was 65,000 at the time. And I still remember the reaction to some of the crowds. You'd have 100, 200, 300 people listening, and it was just like this weird hushed silence. Like, everyone was so bullish at the time. And so when I said stuff like that, I think they kind of were like, oh my goodness, like, I don't even want to look at him, he's like a pariah, But the charts are the charts, and this is the amazing thing about it, is it doesn't matter if it's crude oil, it doesn't matter if it's a stock like Apple or Bitcoin, the charts will tell you the highest probability kind of issue or where it's going to go, and you just have to go with it, because you're not going to be right 100% of the time, no one is, but if you can be right 70 or 80% of the time, you are golden.
Gareth predicted the Bitcoin top last year at 65K at a time when everyone was extremely bullish and was certain that Bitcoin will go to 100K by the year end. But Gareth's prediction played out almost picture perfect, and we saw a break market in the crypto space.
Probably we see 12K by end of year, early 2023, first quarter of 2023.
Yeah.
And then from there, it's going to be the big test, because at that point, you're down 80 to 85%, which matches past cycles. And a lot's going to have to do with what's the Fed doing, how's the economy, how's the stock market, right? We know that in general, even though the last 2 weeks you're not seeing a correlation, if the stock market really takes a big leg down, I do think Bitcoin is pushed lower because people just panic and sell.
Yeah.
And so it's going to be one of those things where once we get to 12, 13, I'm going to be really zoned in and saying to myself, all right, when is the bottom? I'm going to start looking for those bottoming signals in the charts.
Gareth still has a price target of $12,000 Bitcoin and says he is waiting for it to go lower as it is around those levels, that he will start to look for a bottom for maximum risk to reward ratio.
At this point, I still have a little Bitcoin, but it certainly is a very minor position for where I want to be.
Yeah.
I love the idea of being in the position of not being all in, because it gives you the freedom of not, number one, you sleep a lot better at night, right? And number two, you get in this situation of saying, okay, and this is the beauty of charting, is like, the charts predict that it should go down further, but there is always a level that if it gets above, now the charts flip to bullish. So like so many people in this industry of trading, they're very zoned into like I think it's bearish or I think it's bullish. And their ego doesn't allow them to change their mind.
Yeah.
A good trader can see that and kind of, oh, the laptop, there we go. And, and a good trader can ultimately focus in and say, okay, now is the time to switch my viewpoint, right?
Yeah.
And that's really the best thing about it, is that there will be points where if it gets above a certain level, you just go bullish.
Yeah.
But until then, I got to be bearish.
Gareth reveals that he has sold most of his bitcoins and is holding very little at the moment because he is waiting for the markets to go even lower. He says it is always a good idea to never go all in at once. Instead, add to your position gradually at better prices. Gareth also points out that the key to becoming a successful trader is to never let your ego mess with your analysis, because it prevents you from looking at things from an open perspective.
So the goal is, and this is the kind of crazy thing about it, is that for the most part, I'm not even going to wait to 12,000 before I start hodling, right?
Yeah.
So as a trader, I've learned the hard way that sometimes things don't hit your targets. Sometimes they go below, sometimes they don't get down to it. So for me, it's like when it's in the teens, I start to accumulate really small positions, but I start to get kind of like dipping the fingers in or the toes in the pond or something. And so, you know, for me, 19,000, then another little bit at 16, then another 13, another 10, and I'll just keep on doing that all the way down. And I think that for the most part, that protects you. If it starts going up before it gets to my 12 to 13 target, you're involved. If it goes below, I can still accumulate more.
This is what we know as dollar cost averaging, and it is the best approach as it doesn't require you to time the market perfectly. Gareth says he will start to build a position in Bitcoin as soon as it goes below 20K and will continue to add more until it reaches the 12K level. This will average out his buying price and rules out the need to enter at the exact bottom for maximum returns.
Yeah, so the consolidation period like that we're seeing right now is, number one, it really takes patience and discipline to not do anything, because you'll see these little ups and downs, and most investors and traders, what you'll find is that they have a hard time sitting on their hands and not doing anything, right? They always want to be involved. It's almost like an addiction where you got to be in the trade, you got to be in bullish or bearish, in or you know, long or short. And so for me, it's using that discipline to just say, hey, listen, wait till the chart tells me, right? So I'm looking for key indicators within that chart. It could be a bottoming tail, it could be a bear flag, it could be a time count, and these are the things that you look for. And then when it breaks one way, you start to say, okay, it just broke, now it's going to take this leg to this next target, or that could be to the upside as well.
This is a very helpful tips for beginner traders, as during times of consolidation, it is very easy to get caught up and enter bad trades. Knowing when to not trade also takes a lot of discipline and patience, which is what differentiates the pros from the newbies.
What I love about gold, and you know, everyone hates on gold, but I continue to just absolutely love it, because in this environment, number one, the dollar has rallied like 20% this year.
Yeah.
And gold, I think at the lows was down like 7%.
Yeah.
And again, it's so important for people to understand that if you're looking at something like gold and the dollar's up 20, you should see gold down 20%. So even though it's down, it doesn't mean it's a bad thing, because it's showing you that there's relative strength. It means that there's accumulation. So when I see gold down 7% on the year, I'm saying, wait a minute, it should be down 20, so why isn't it? And the answer is smart money's accumulating, right? And right away, as soon as I see smart money accumulating, I'm like, all right, now that's where I want to be.
Yeah.
So right away, we just saw a pullback recently in the dollar, and gold ripped to the upside. And so again, that's an indicator that, like, all right, look at the size of that move relative to you know, 1 or 2% pullback in the dollar. Again, it went up like 4% or 3%. And so you see this kind of positive divergence developing, and that just tells me that at some point, gold is going to absolutely take off to the upside, go back to the highs of, you know, I think it was around 2075, and actually break a lot higher.
While many analysts are not the biggest fans of gold at the moment, Gareth says he is loving it as it is holding up extremely well given the rally in the US dollar. This indicates that the smart money are accumulating around these levels, which also coincides with the fact that gold has been going up rapidly even with just a 1 to 2% drop in the DXY. Thank you for watching this video. Make sure to hit the like button and subscribe to our channel, because we upload educational content like this on a daily basis. See you guys in the next video.